Michael, your father was a musician, and indeed your brothers are musicians, and I know that you're an incredible, nifty pianist when it comes to jazz playing. But why did you choose composition over performance?
Well, you know, I really like jazz a lot, and I like to improvise, but there's something about writing down the music that there's so many more things you can investigate, like timbre, for example.
In the concerto compositions that you've written, not just for percussion but other instruments, do you normally leave room for improvisation, whether it's in a cadenza or otherwise?
No, only in the percussion concerto.
Oh,
because
why?
well, because there's a tradition of percussionists improvising, but in traditional instruments like violin and cello, no.
I know when we worked on this concerto that we actually collaborated a lot. You came to my home in England, and we met up several times in the US as well. And actually you even bought some instruments so that you could really experiment with them yourselves. I mean, do you normally interact so closely with performers?
I do really. I mean, I think with the concerto, of course, it's a bit more, but generally speaking, I really believe that working with performers is very important because, again, to explore timbre of the instrument, you really need to have that instrument there. So whether it's bassoon or violin or tuba, whatever, you know, I think working with the instruments, you come up with new ideas. It's funny because in electronic music, you're always working with the sounds and you're tweaking the sounds real time, so to speak. And that's what I do when I work with players. I'll write notes out, and then when I have a player come to my house, I'll try things with the violin. Let's do tremolo, let's do sopranticello, let's try the staccato, let's go up an octave, let's put a gliss here or whatever. And there's a lot of composers in the past who've worked with players, so it's really not that unusual, except that I tend to do it with all players of the orchestra when I'm writing a piece.
What did you feel when you were asked to write a percussion concerto?
I felt incredible fear. You know. Like, what am I going to do? You know?
But you draw a lot upon American culture, and so how did the idea of UFO come about?
Sure. When you're sitting in the audience, and sometimes in a contemporary piece, you'll hear the percussion playing, you'll say, what sound is that? And the only way I'll know is I'll have to get up and either look or go up in the balcony and see what's going on there. Sometimes after the concert, I'll go upstage and ask the percussion, what were you doing on that piece?
Well, you're inspired by American culture, which has been translated into numerous works, and the individual inspirations include Ricky Ricardo with Desi, or Detroit, and Motown Metal, or Rosa Parks Boulevard. What inspired UFO, and what should the listener be aware of?
Well, it's interesting that unidentified flying objects has been something that many cultures have been obsessed with in England, but mostly in America, really. It's been sort of a phenomenon, going back to 1948, when the supposed first spaceship, alien spaceship, ever crashed into America in Roswell, New Mexico. You know, there was a very interesting jazz artist, Sun Ra, who had an experimental jazz group, and he felt he was from outer space. And sometimes I think you're from outer space. Like, what am I going to do, you know? I haven't been afraid to write music that is what I am, you know, and I think that I'm not hiding behind anything or trying to be something I'm not. I'm trying to write music that takes into account, you know, where I've lived and the kind of music I've listened to. But also at the same time, you know, I have worked with a lot of interesting composers over the years who wrote very complex music, you know. And so I am interested in that too. And when people think of UFOs, or you think of Star Trek or Star Wars or any of that stuff, I think that people then allow themselves to imagine things or to let themselves go in a way they would normally.
Since writing UFO, what else have you been involved with, and has the percussion writing changed in any way?
Well, gee, I've written a lot of work since then, of course, orchestra pieces and a violin concerto, and I just finished a piano concerto. But definitely working with you, and I learned so much about writing for percussion and new ways to think about sound, you know, really. So yes, that's definitely, I've incorporated the work that we did and and all the interesting ideas that came out of UFO into many of my works since that